Welcome back to Her Winning Mindset, a podcast for the women who want to win in the game of life and get everything that they truly desire. We touch on subjects such as healing, high performance, and entrepreneurship. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm so excited to host this episode because when I put the poll up on my Instagram stories about would you prefer an episode on toxic versus healthy high performance or traveling with your business, majority of people voted for healthy versus toxic high performance, which is incredible. So thank you so much if you did vote, because here's today's episode. It's a big one. I want you to take notes because if you master this, you can truly change your life. Just a reminder about the podcast competition. Please like, subscribe, rate, leave a review, leave a comment. And if you do, let me know by screenshotting it and DMing me on Instagram at JasmineKemp__. And you'll come into our free VIP group coaching call session where you can ask me any questions about business, marketing, sales, scaling, or life, travel, mindset, nervous system, and you can get coached around that specifically for you and where you're at in life. High-performing women have a bad rap. They're either labeled as toxic, masculine, selfish, or they're always considered burnt out. And what if I told you it didn't have to be like this at all? You can be a high-performing feminine woman that never burns out. Now, if this is of interest to you, keep listening because I'm going to share all of my secrets on how I became a high-performing feminine woman that never burns out, that travels the world, that works quite a lot because I'm so dedicated to this passion and so dedicated to this craft. I need to tell you one thing. It wasn't always like this. There was a time in my life where I was a dysregulated girly. If you don't know my backstory, in short, I've been in psychiatric wards twice because I have tried to unalive myself twice due to really bad depression, anxiety, and childhood trauma. And over those years, the past 10 years of recovery, I've really worked on my nervous system, but it's only been the past 5 where I would say I have really worked on myself, like truly. And if I didn't do that healing work for the past 5 years, I wouldn't have been able to become a high-performing feminine woman. So I'm going to share with you all of my secrets and how to do this for yourself. So the first thing we want to do is identify if we're working from a place of trauma and toxicity, or if we're working from a place of love, passion, and fulfillment, because they have 2 very different energies behind them, and in turn are going to be the reason if you burn out versus you don't burn out, if you're going to be a feminine, high-performing woman, or if you're going to be toxic. So how to identify this? If you're working to prove your self-worth to yourself or someone else, trauma. If you're sacrificing your health, your relationships, your relationship with yourself, trauma. If you feel empty after achieving goals, trauma. Really have a look at the place that you're working from and ask yourself, am I working from a place of pure love and dedication and devotion to my craft? Am I doing this to scale a global movement because I want to create so much impact? Or is there something else there? And be really honest about it. Are you trying to prove your worth to one of your parents? Are you trying to show the bully from high school that, no, I can do it? There's so many different ways that we can identify it. But the first things first, it starts with self-honesty. There was a study done in 2021 and it said that 77% of working women burn out. That is a huge statistic. What if I said we could actually change this collectively together? We just don't have the skills and we haven't developed our nervous system to be able to become high-performing feminine women without burning out. And this is the movement that I really want to start because I truly believe that we as women are so much more powerful than society thinks we are, that we think we are. We hold power. We birth life into this world. Do not tell me that we can't figure out how to not become burnt out. You cannot tell me we can't figure that out because we can. We literally bring life into this world. And if we can learn to regulate our emotions, regulate our nervous system, expand our window of tolerance, and be really honest with ourselves, we can overcome this burnout epidemic. And I want to speak into how today. So one of the biggest issues I see is that women use high performance. Women use these large goals. Women work and strive and achieve to avoid looking at their trauma, to avoid looking at their wounding, to avoid cleaning up their baggage. Because if they do all of these high performance work, achievements, goals, they never have to look at that. And they never have to sit in the discomfort of that. Because it is really hard to look back at your childhood sometimes and be like, oof, I was so hurt. Oof, I wasn't looked after. Oof, I had all of this happen to me. Like, that was so unfair. It's hard to revisit that. It's hard to look at that. It's hard to feel that shock, that anger, that grief, that pain. It's hard. And I feel you in that. But the only way we are going to become emotionally regulated humans that are calm, that will never burn out, is to look at the baggage and start clearing out that trauma. You cannot use being a high-performing woman as a band-aid forever. It's simply unsustainable. You will find yourself in burnout loops time and time and time again, and then you will become a victim to yourself because of the burnout that you've created because you've chosen not to do the healing work. No tarot card is going to save you. No manifestation is going to save you. No star alignment is going to save you. No man or woman is going to save you. No one is going to come and save you. You need to save yourself. And it starts by looking in the mirror and saying, I've had enough of burning out. I've had enough of being overwhelmed. I've had enough of playing into this, that I'm now going to go face my shit, feel the shame, the grief, the anger, the anxiety, the shock. And I'm going to process that so I can make space for something new. Because you can never build a global movement. You can never impact thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people if the base, if the foundation of everything you're creating from is heavy, yucky, traumatic energy. How can you scale a global movement if the whole foundation and the whole lens of life you look out from is pain and suffering? Because you're just choosing to ignore that. You cannot. And this is why I'm so passionate about trauma work, somatic work, and healing. It's things that we need in life. And this is why I want to help you, because the more you heal, the more we can help others heal. And we can spread this mission far and wide. It's not just about making money in business. It's about leaving the earth a better place than we came. I truly believe that this current generation, and I truly believe that this time in society is the time where we are breaking all the trauma from the past, and you get to choose, are you going to break the generational trauma, or are you going to choose to let the cycles repeat for years and years to come, for your children, your grandchildren, their children, and so on? It's up to you today. To be able to shift into a high-performing woman, we just need to put a pause on the high-performing for a hot minute and go back to healing. We need to go into a baseline of healing. And the way we heal our trauma is through somatic therapy, because our trauma is stored in the body. It's stored in our nervous system. It's stored in our subconscious mind. Our body remembers the emotions linked to certain events. And if we haven't processed those emotions, they are still living in our body. Now, I'm going to give you an example of a real life example that I went to therapy a week ago. And this is a complete vulnerable share. I was feeling really angry. I went into therapy and I was like, Georgia, I'm just angry. And I don't know why I'm angry. I have no reason to be angry. If you look at my life, it's perfect. It's beautiful. But I am so angry. I'm angry at everyone right now. And she said, oh, okay, like you're not an angry person, so something's going on. Let's figure it out. And we tracked it back to something that happened in my childhood when I was around 5 years old. And it had to do with boundaries and internal boundaries and external boundaries. And we processed first anger, then we processed shock, and then underneath the shock was grief. And we did 2 waves of grief processing. Now, once I processed all those emotions, my jaw unclenched, the anxiety that I had in my stomach completely disappeared, my whole body relaxed, and I felt 20 kilos lighter because I let this emotion come up and be processed. Now, I have been doing somatic therapy for 3 years, so I have processed a lot of shit. But imagine you never process your emotions. You never process the memories of the past. You never revisit them to reparent your inner child to build trust with yourself. You are operating from a software that is not manageable, that is not sustainable, and quite frankly, it's not enjoyable. When we do this somatic work alongside inner child work, we expand our window of tolerance. Now, if you don't know what a window of tolerance is, it's linked with the nervous system, and essentially it's a way to describe how much you can hold in a stress response. So the window of tolerance was created by Dr. Dan Siegel, and essentially it is a window, right? Imagine 2 lines and a space in between those 2 lines. In those 2 lines is where you operate at a really great level. You're calm, you can make really great decisions, you're kind, everything is great. But as soon as you get triggered, if you have a really small window, you will go either above those lines or below those lines. Above means you're going into fight or flight, and below means you're going into freeze. When you're in those levels, you cannot operate correctly. You're angry, you're anxious, you're snappy, you're stressed, or you're depressed, you can't function, you avoid, you're tired. And so what we need to do as women is we need to clear out the trauma and do resilience building activities so we can increase the window of what we can handle and hold. Because this is where high level problems versus low level problems come in. People with a small window of tolerance really suffer with small level problems. For example, they got a burnt coffee and now it's ruined their entire day and they spiral because of that. They're angry because of that. That person should be fired, blah, 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 blah. Whereas someone with big window of tolerance gets a burnt coffee. Okay, cool. They just keep going on with life. Right? It doesn't send them into a tizzy. It is what it is. Now, if we relate this to burnout, what burnout actually is you are going into fight or flight, operating in fight or flight for such a long time until your body can no longer sustain it. Then you're, boom, dropping down into freeze and you're in a freeze state. You can't move. You cannot think. You have nothing left in the tank. Once we're in that freeze state, it takes some time to defrost and come back into our window of tolerance. But if you haven't done the work, you're going to keep repeating this bouncing cycle up and down, burnout, 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 up and down, fight, fight, freeze. And it's going to be an emotional roller coaster for your entire life and it's not going to be enjoyable. So to increase our window of tolerance, we do the trauma work, so somatic trauma therapy, inner child work, and shadow work. And then we also do resilience building activities. Hard exercise, get in an ice bath, get in a sauna, do things that make you consistently uncomfortable little bit by little bit to begin widening how much you can hold. Women who practice resilience building activities have 40% less stress in their life overall than women who don't. Please practice your resilience building activities. I guarantee you, if you do this over the space of 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, the problems that you had a few years ago are not going to bother you. You're not going to spiral. When life gives you lemons, everything is all good. So now that we've identified that you can't be a healthy, high-performing feminine woman if you don't clear your trauma, here's the other thing we need to watch out for: the healing trap. So usually when women burn out, they go into their healing era, which I absolutely love. Every woman should be in a healing era. But what can happen is the healing trap. And this is where women now use their healing as a method of self-sabotage. Fascinating. If something goes wrong in their life, they will sit and journal for 5 hours. They will spend 3 weeks trying to figure out the answer to this problem, why this happened to them. Why did they feel this way? What happened in their childhood? What do they need to heal? And what happens here is now the decision-making process in business and life is extended and it's so long, and therefore their business doesn't grow, which in turn causes more stress, which then loops back to wonder why I'm so stressed. What triggered me? Oh, let me go dig, 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 dig. What trauma treasure do I need to find? Delayed decision making, back stress again. And so we need to find the balance between the healing work and the high performance work so we can be healthy, functional women. And you are only going to know that based on how much work you do, how embodied you are, the sensations you can feel in your body, what you know triggers you, when you can identify when you're in fight or flight or freeze or fawn. When you can identify your emotions, that's when you will know which side of the spectrum you need to lean on. Because as business women who are scaling global movements, we cannot be making decisions that take 500 hours. We simply can't. If you want to grow a team, if you want to impact thousands around the world, you cannot do that by trying to figure out every single detail of what happened in your childhood. And now what happens is we go into overthinking mode and intellectualizing mode to try and figure out the answers rather than sitting in the discomfort and feeling the emotion that's just there. Because I guarantee you, instead of trauma treasure hunting and trying to intellectualize and overthink why you're triggered because of this and why this happened because of this, if you just sat there and let the emotion process in that 20 minutes, then you could move forward. But again, it's another mechanism of avoiding feeling the emotion. So we go from not feeling the emotion, not feeling the pain, the grief, the shock, the anger in high performance activities. Then we go into our healing era where we we start to feel, but then we start to intellectualize and overthink to avoid feeling again because it's so painful. If we just sat in the silence for 20 to 40 minutes a day and just sat there, no phone, no distraction, on your bed, outside, no noise, and see what came up, I guarantee you would process a lot more emotions. And from here, you'd become embodied and you'd become regulated. So once you've begun healing and now you're on this journey and you're like, cool, like I'm feeling healed, I'm feeling embodied, like I'm hungry again, you can go back into high performance. But the difference here isn't necessarily the external action. It's the foundation where it's come from. It's no longer coming from trauma, scarcity, pain. It's coming from devotion, love, self-respect. And from here, you want to pursue your goals. You want to get after it. You want to win, not because you have to win, because if you don't, one of your parents is going to be disappointed in you and you need to get their validation. No, you want to win because you want to give yourself the life you deserve. You want to win because you want to change other people's lives. And the energy is very different. And this is why I can work and work and work and work and work without burning out. Because my window of tolerance is so wide, because I'm so regulated, because I consistently feel my emotions, and because a practitioner helps me through what I need to get through. And I would suggest to you, if you want to become a high-performing feminine woman, do healing work and high-performance work simultaneously together all the time. This is what I teach in my coaching containers because it is a big mission of mine. I truly believe that we're so much more powerful than we believe. So I want to ask you some journal questions to end this podcast so you can go away and really start this journey to figure out where you're coming from. Am I using my goals and achievements for validation? Yes or no? Be honest. There was a time where every time I'd make a sale, I'd run downstairs and be like, Dad, I just made a sale. Oh my gosh. And then he'd be like, amazing, Jazzy. Now I don't really tell anyone. I just get on with it because it's not about that. I can validate myself. I feel so proud of myself. Every night when I go to bed, I'm like, I am in it. I am fucking in my winning era. I'm on my shit right now. And that's the only validation I need, the one that I give myself because I feel so fucking lit up. That's question number one. Question number two, am I using my burnout or my healing era as an excuse to not get on with my work because I actually have a deeper fear of failing, of being rejected, of being seen, of success? Another journal question I want you to ask yourself is, if I could have everything in the world, what would that look like to me? And then I want you to 10x it. I want you to shatter your own belief systems on what's possible for you, because I guarantee you, you can have everything you want in your life. The last journal question is, what work do I keep avoiding? What is on the bottom of my to-do list consistently? What do I keep turning a blind eye to? A conversation, work, checking finances, exercise, diet. What do I keep not looking at? And why do I keep doing that? What do I benefit from by doing that? Because there's always a secondary gain. Initially, you'll be like, I don't benefit from that. No, but if you really think about it, you're benefiting somehow. Maybe you get to be lazy. Maybe you get validation from someone. Maybe you get attention. Maybe you get to play victim. There is something there. There is a secondary gain, and I want you to go digging on what that is for yourself. Thank you so much for coming to today's episode. If you have any questions on healing and high performance in relation to you specifically, please feel free to DM me at JasmineKemp __ on Instagram. I would love to hear all of your questions because this is one of my favorite topics. I truly believe we can cure burnout by doing the deep trauma somatic healing work and integrating that with healthy, high-performing habits. But it's all up to you. It's all the choice. You have one life, and I want you to truly go after it because this is precious. This is so precious. One life, 80 to 90 years. Go out there and do something great. Don't submit to your fears. Don't be a bitch to your emotions. Face this stuff head on. You can do it. You can truly do anything. You're strong, you're resilient, you're beautiful, you're amazing, you're unique. Go out there and go for it. Go live your life. You've only got one. All right. Love you. Bye.